we go, we have a very special interview. Tatiana Williams talks trans-inclusive diversity honors and why trans activism is so critical. The Harvey Milk Foundation and Pride Center at Equality Park will present the star-studded diversity honors March 9th at Seminole Hard Rock Hotel, along with Billy Porter, Belinda Carlisle, and more. The event will honor Tatiana Williams for her trans activism and leadership of trans-inclusive group.
The Harvey Milk Foundation and Pride Center at Equality Park will host diversity honors at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino on Saturday, March 9th. The Harvey Milk Medal will be presented to Billy Porter, Belinda Carlisle, and Spencer Batiste. The Diversity Honors Award will be presented to the Executive Director and of Trans Exclusive, Tatiana Williams. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. Tatiana Williams, we are so honored to have you in studio. I was just telling you a little bit off camera how enamored and in love I fell with you today doing my homework on you. You're such a trailblazer for the trans community, especially people of color within the trans community, and it really is an honor to have you here. I want to dive right in, and you got the news that you would be presented with the Harvey Milk Diversity Honors Award. Try saying that 3 times fast. What were some of the first thoughts that entered your head? Where were you when you found out the news? What is the memory that's now affiliated with finding this out?
So what's important for me is that someone that's from trans experience and doing the work and being a Black transgender woman, when I heard diversity honors and when I got the call, what many don't know is that I worked at the Pride Center for 6.5 years, and I used to be one of the team members hosting the event outside, taking tickets.
Full circle moment.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So when I got the call, I'm like, me? Because I didn't think me, because I'm like, I've always attended these events as an employee and as a staff member helping plan the event. To come around later, 3 years later, after leaving the organization and being acknowledged for the work that I do was definitely an aha moment. It spoke to the work that I do and I will continue to do as long as I have breath. So I was really excited and honored, like really honored.
I mean, yeah, some of the other power players in the field that you're with, Belinda Carlisle, there's Billy Porter, Spencer Batiste. I mean, but to be fair, you've been a player in this game for quite some time right now. You've been one of the nation's top leadership names in the trans community. Tell those of us who might not know as much as we should about trans inclusive, tell us a little bit about it, or tell us a lot of it about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, trans inclusive started because myself being a trans woman, I transitioned over 30 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And at that
wow. Yeah. See, that was a wow. Yeah.
And at that time, yes. And at that time, we didn't have the resources and access that we have today. So it was important to me in the work because when I started at the Pride Center, I already had incorporated the organization. However, I knew at that time I didn't have the level of experience and understanding in order to run a nonprofit in the way that I felt it should have been ran. So working at the Pride Center gave me a lot of backroom knowledge, and a lot of people don't know that I worked in the community before I formed Trans Inclusive Group, which gave me the ability to understand what that looks like in terms of programming, how to frame what it is that we need, and be able to articulate that in a way for the funders to understand it in a way to serve the community.
You submerged yourself into the community and you listened to the problems and concerns of others around who might not have a direct connection to any sort of support when it comes to trans and what it takes to go through that at any age. So I think that that's what kind of sets you apart as well. You've done the work, like you say. What is some advice maybe that you would give to younger trans humans right now who don't really see the light at the end of the tunnel and maybe don't have any access to anything? You know, trans inclusive is such a gem for us here in South Florida. What do you say to those who may not have access to something as, fundamental as trans inclusive where they are right now?
I think living in trans experience, I think it's important to, you have to have that space within yourself. And you have to also give yourself that grace and understanding. And if you can, even if it's not a lot of people or if it's one person, you have to create a support system. And for someone that transitioned over 30 years ago, there's generations of trauma that happened, right? And it's different every generation. Something new is coming up. And in that, we do have more resources, and they're available, and you can access them differently than we did back then. We didn't have like social media. We didn't have the support spaces to do that. So right now, in this day of transitioning, things are a little bit better. Although we may be going through the things that we're going through in our government, there's still opportunities and access to certain things, although we don't necessarily disclose or really say where everything is happening, because the safety of our community is important, and you don't know who's who. But if you get in those spaces and you find people like-minded or like yourself, you definitely find that access and those resources, because they're here. We won't let this government deter us from being who we want to be and living unapologetic and living our authentic truth.
You just gave me the greatest goosebumps of all time, by the way, the really good ones. I want to touch upon, though, because, you said 30 years ago you've done this, and it was, although the government is dangerous right now, right, with what's happening on, gender ID, you can't, proclaim your own gender on Florida ID. 30 years ago, the streets were dangerous for trans, especially people of color, the trans community. So the battle has not even begun, I mean, it hasn't, but it's crazy to me to stand back really now and say, holy shit, there has been a lot of work that has needed to be done. And we need all the allies possible to really step it the hell up.
Absolutely, because when you think about the life expectancy of a Black trans woman is 35 years old, right? And when you hear those numbers, and so I use my story. Once upon a time, I wouldn't tell my age. I was like, I'm fabulous. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
But it does, because in this space, like I said, 30 years ago, it's a different space now. It's important to show that there is possibility. There is hope. If you really stay in it, and you have to have the faith. And fortunately for me, I had a family that was supportive, right? And I think I contribute that to my mental health. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my mom, I'm always like, thank you, because I was provided that space just to be who I am. And they let me develop into that. They would ask family members, like, how was it with me coming out? They was like, it wasn't an out. It was just out.
You were just was. It just was.
Yeah, it just
wasn't
was.
A coming out process. Right.
It was just like,
normalize that.
Yeah. And so for me, that was a good thing. So I tried to give back what was given to me through a family structure. So with TIG, I meet people where they are, and that looks different for everyone. And whatever that journey is in your life, whatever that is that you're trying to do, I'm trying to help you get there at your pace, not at my pace, not what I want, but it's at your pace. Right. And, and sometimes we have to have that like tough love, if you may.
Absolutely.
But in that, I still find that space to love everybody the way that they need to be loved, and make sure that they feel that. And that's just not from community members. That's also from the team within. Oftentimes people confuse working at an organization, you have it all figured out. And sometimes when you are providing those services to individuals, you have your own stuff that you're dealing with at times, right?
Right.
So understanding that from the lens of someone like myself, of trans experience working in an organization, I also acknowledge that my team may also need that space, but making sure that I'm taking care of everybody, not just the people that are coming into the organization, but also making sure that I'm taking care of the people within the organization is important to me.
Well, you seem to be doing many, many things right. Diversity honors, they're on March 9th, the day after my birthday. Yeah. What are you most looking forward to?
I'm excited. It's always a beautiful event, the food, the people. So I'm excited for the event. I'm thinking about what would I say, what I wouldn't say, because sometimes I consider myself to be a radical advocate.
Okay.
And okay.
I was like, I want to hear the speech. Hold the water bottle. This is the award, and I'm going to, let's do a practice run.
And I check the temperature in the space and make it, because you want to make sure that you may not need to be that. You can be something different, and tone is everything. So, and I know how to deliver those messages in that space, but I think that the fact that the Pride Center, and I consider myself to be like their baby, right? Because I know that what they was trying to do, I'm an example of that, right? They knew that, okay, yeah, we put her in a position, but we know that role isn't going to hold her that long, right? And so I'm an example of, if you put your energy, time, and effort and your determination in that, you can be and do whatever it is that you want to do. So for me, it's important important that they looked and they acknowledged that, this was one of our people, and we watched her grow, get to where she is in life. So that's important to me. And I like to use myself as an example, and coming from someone.
Just going to say that you're going to tie it into the trans inclusive group too, because you're brilliant. Sorry, keep going.
No, I like to use myself as an example. And when people would come to the group, we have a group meeting on the second Tuesday. Is for the trans community specific.
Yes.
And the Thursday, I'm so sorry.
Yes, Thursday.
And the last Thursday is for the allies. And in that ally space, we want to bring people in so they can understand the community better. And there's no, wrong questions. You can ask. It's a safe space.
Yeah.
If you don't have that understanding, we want to welcome that, because oftentimes people are thinking things and they won't say it and don't have a place to go and get that education and that knowledge. So we open up that space to give you the opportunity to come in there and do that with no judgment.
I think it's essential, especially as a white gay man who didn't always understand the torment that the trans community went through until later on in life. This meeting sounds like it would be the perfect, second weekly routine for me, because you're not done at the end of the day learning. Like there's so much more to learn. And if you stop learning daily, you stop contributing and you become part of the problem. So for me, it was really important to read that they were both sort of separate events, but under the same family, of course, the meetings. So you have been hired to be a public speaker. You have written for everyone and everything. What is next for you? Are we getting a talk show? Is there a Netflix special? What is next for Tatiana Williams in you can use a few words, but use some teaser words if you'd like.
So people don't know that I also consult.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm working on a consulting company, but I'm also working with some people in terms of a book. So there's a few things that I have lined up, and I don't
name them all.
Well, the consulting into the book, but I just kind of I'm one of those people that like to keep it under wraps, and then just and then you
once it's ready to go.
Yes.
Yeah,
and so I'm doing this with you.
Before they have,
and I like to have it I develop it behind the scenes, and then, then I disclose. But yeah, so I'm working on some stuff behind the scenes, and I just want to get that up and running, and then I'll move into that next phase. But there's so much happening in terms of moving into this election season, and work is kind of really getting there. And I woke up today, as I told you, I may look fabulous.
You look fabulous, but you had a mental self-care day.
Yeah, and today I was I just did my emotionally and mentally, I was in this space, and I'm like, okay, when you're in that space, you may need to take a breather, and maybe you need to lighten your load for this week a little bit. And so that's where I'm at in that space. So, and I think about what we are going through in our community, and I'm often asked to speak in spaces, and I was supposed to be there to do that on Wednesday, but I don't have it. And people would look at people like myself and think we always have it all figured out, and don't think that we need those spaces for ourselves to be great. So what I did was gave myself permission and gave myself grace to say, you know what, lighten that load this week.
Little recharge.
Absolutely.
And that is why you are so successful at what you do, because it would take a really, really smart human to say, I can't give my all right now. I need to love me a little bit today, take the day. So I commend you for that. And I wish more people would take a page from your book with that, because a little recharge can maybe change a major product or, the end of the week for you. It has been completely an honor to speak with you. I wish I had 2 hours, because you could take it up in the best way possible. Listen, Tatiana Williams, where can everyone follow you on social media? I'm sure that your handles are everywhere, but what's the quickest place to go right now to kind of stay updated with where you're staying updated?
On Facebook, you can go to transinclusivegroup.org, or you can go to Transinclusive Florida on Instagram.
Okay.
And I have my own personal Instagram, but that's where I, have fun.
Yeah. So work to Trans Inclusive
Yes.
Facebook group, all
Yes.
messages there. And
Yes.
Instagram, that might be another conversation that
My
you might
personal
have
Instagram.
to. Yeah, the personal Instagram, you got to send a DM first and then get the invite. Thank you so much for
My
joining me
pleasure.
at the roundtable. And again, although you may say that you don't feel as fabulous, you do look fabulous,
Thank
and it's been
you.
an honor. We invite you to Diversity Honors on March 9th at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel. It is an amazing and fabulous celebration of the diversity and resilience in our LGBTQ plus community. And don't miss seeing the Harvey Milk Diversity Honors Awards to be presented to Tatiana Williams. For more information and tickets, go to diversityhonors.org. See you soon.